Let's turn it on. Okay, I think we're feeding out to the folks out there. All right. So while we're waiting for confirmation of that, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask everyone out there to go to hankstrange.com. Very important. Sign up for our email list, of course, of course, of course. Sign up for the email list. Look around the site. We've got lots of things there. If you're looking for our social media and all that, you will find it under Strangerholics, and there is a place that you can get the patches. It's called merch. So go check that out. We've got patches there in the merch section if you're looking for that. Let's see. Let me load up my guests here.
Are you going to take merching orders?
Yeah, merching. That's good. Okay, so let's see here. Let me let's press the open button here.
Welcome back to the Hank Strange
Boom!
Situation.
All right, make sure you guys
Lifestyles
subscribe
of
to the channel, ring the bell so you can be notified every time we go live. And we are live. Come on, guys, let's see the jazz hands. There you go, jazz hands from everyone. Let's see. I can't see Rolando. Okay, there we go. Full screen, Rolando doing the jazz hands. There you go. We've got Richard doing the jazz hands as well. We are live. We are live. I hope you have your big girl panties on tonight. What is this? A brisk Tuesday evening in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Brisk. It's freaking cold.
Wow, is it
It's
cold
not.
where you guys
No,
are?
it's not cold. It's not
was
cold.
61 degrees when I woke up. I thought
That's
I was
not
going to
cold.
freeze to death.
That is not cold.
I had to get my parka out.
Oh boy. That is not cold. That's nice. It's nice weather, low humidity. We're all in Florida tonight. This is episode 676 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Hank Strange. The title is Why Georgia's U.S. Senate Runoff is So Important for the Second Amendment. And I'm joined by, let's see, right here we've got Rolando Puerto Rican Pistolero.
How you doing, Hank?
What's up,
How's
man?
it going, everybody?
We're good. We're good.
Awesome.
Hanging in there. Hanging in there.
I hear you. That's how it's been a crazy couple of weeks.
Yes, it has. It has. Which we're gonna get into that a little bit here. We also have, there he goes, Richard Hoffman, BWE Firearms.
Where?
It's all about
That
you.
son of a bitch
Just
owes
step
me
out
money.
of the way for a second so we could see the niceties gently placed behind you. There you go. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. And we'll get into that if the folks want to here in a second. How's everyone doing out there? Smash the thumbs ups as you guys are coming in here. We really appreciate that. Smash the thumbs up. Share this. I think YouTube went back to ghosting us again. But listen, if you guys could share it and smash those thumbs ups, hopefully that will help. I know there were some people who were saying that they couldn't find us last night, which is I don't know. This has been like on and off for a while now. But if you have social media, I always share the link out across my various social media, so you guys should be able to find that, or hit me up like Night Train did. I'm not sure if he's out there. Yeah, I see him. Night Train, hit me up.
He's there.
He says Mark Twain said the coldest winter he ever spent was the summer in San Francisco. So there you go. There you go. And by the way, the show tonight's brought to you guys by Franklin Armory. Thanks to Franklin Armory for their support. I'm rocking the Franklin Armory baseball cap right now. Looking very sexy and stylish.
Like, look,
Appreciate those
let's
guys.
not get carried away. You're wearing their hat.
Yeah. I look really sexy in their hat, I gotta say. So there you go. And what is this? Kathleen Music Lover says a broomstick. Yep. And then she wants to know, Puerto Rican Pistolero, what model do you have again? What is that about?
Oh, she's asking about what Canic pistol that I usually carry. It's the one that's on the counter over here. It's TP9 SF Elite.
Okay, can we see it from there? No. A little bit. A little bit.
It's over there. It's dark.
It's a little bit in the background, Yeah, okay, very cool. So let's see here. I'm trying to see, where should we start? Where do you guys want to start tonight? We are going to talk about what's going on in Georgia, but I haven't seen you guys for a little while. Where are you guys?
You lost us already?
Yeah. No, I'm here. I'm just wondering, how are you guys? We were talking about the election kind of in the background. So no one's over this yet. And I was saying in the background that this the jacking of this election feels like being robbed in slow motion, and you're paralyzed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Basically, you can't do anything about it. So, you guys agree with that?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raped might be more of a.
Yeah. The truth is definitely getting.
It's like it's like a hostage situation, but you're not but you kind of you suspect who the kidnappers are, and you have a lot of evidence, but still nobody believes the evidence yet, even though everybody knows who's doing it.
Yeah, and you're not you're not Liam Neeson, even as they write him in the script. You're not really that good.
Exactly. And you see your kidnapper like show up on the news every day and be like, I don't know what happened. I don't know where they took that person. And then they walk back in the room with you and you're like, oh my God, how is this happening?
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you going to add to that, Rich?
Oh God. I'm just totally beside myself with this whole thing because, I'm also looking at it. If he gets in and even gets 10% of what he wants with guns and the ATF and everything else, they're going to try to put me out of business.
Well, for sure, that's one of the plans that they had, and I don't think they're just going to go after guns. There's many things that we have to look forward to here in America.
Yeah.
Definitely, guns is high up on their wish list of things that they would like to feel that they're doing something about. So, that's for sure.
Just saying, if they put me out of business, I will be going into mass production of full autos for whoever wants them.
This is a comedy, ATF agents watching.
Oh, they know it's not.
This is for entertainment purposes only. Listen, Richard, our friend Flying Rich out there. Where was his comment? He had a comment out here that I wanna. He says Kamala is so sure she won. She resigned from the Senate. Oh wait, that did not happen. Yeah, I think she's waiting. She doesn't want to do that quite yet. Would not be prudent at this juncture.
Wouldn't that be nice if she resigned from the Senate and then?
But in fairness, I think Pence didn't do it until like the first week of January or something, or he didn't give up his governorship until like the first week of January. So I mean, it's standard procedure. You still have a job, just like unlike Facebook, who supposedly I think I saw took away Trump's status as president of the United States. I think they said he's like a political candidate now rather than president. I was like, he's president, win, lose, or draw until January 20th, no matter what. Yeah, it's
insanity. But these are the games they play.
That's crazy.
Guess what? He's president after the election. Even if he loses.
Yeah, that's what I said.
He's still referred to as President Trump.
But that's all part of the brainwashing, I think, that's going on here. So,
yes.
Atomic Bull says, I went to sleep on election night. Trump was winning. Then I woke up in Venezuela. And Kathleen Music Lover says they're going to force men to drink soy milk.
They can try.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Listen, there's nothing that they can do out there to change who we are. We remain who we are. We're in control of our minds.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is mental. A lot of the game is mental. A lot of what they're up to right now. I mean, obviously, you've got massive cooperation across the tech industry, across the media, and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of what they're trying to do is mental. And regardless of if this would have gone normally and who would have won, we would have to wake up the next day and fight for gun rights in America, no matter what.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we've been doing that this whole time under Trump.
Yep.
Yeah. There's not a single politician or bureaucrat in any government anywhere who wants us to have guns.
Yeah. Yeah, and we fought, 8 years under Obama. I mean, this is, if we could keep going back. So ultimately, we have to keep fighting, It sucks. I know, Rolando, you have a theory. If you said you've got a theory about where all of this is going. People are wondering about the apocalypse.
I don't know where it's gonna go, but like we were talking a little bit just briefly before we came on, my greatest fear is, let's say that this goes to the Supreme Court. A lot of people are saying that's where it's going to go. It's in the courts. I haven't paid attention to as many of the. I think it's pretty obvious what happened this election. So for me to obsess over Dominion software, if votes were stolen manually or if it was voting machines, at this point, I'm not even worried about how they did it. I'm worried about the fact that that's essentially what I believe. So that's what we're dealing with. And there's not too much we can do with what we're dealing with. It's what's going to happen in the future. Mm-hmm. And my fear is if it goes to the Supreme Court, I'm very afraid of, even though we do have a majority in the Supreme Court, human nature always seems to override things. And I do have a fear that if it goes to the Supreme Court, they know, meaning the justices know, that they have a 6-3 conservative lead. So presumably that means that we will, on the right, or whatever side you want to call us, the pro-freedom side or whatever, people that voted for Donald Trump, mm-hmm. Or don't want the left to win, whatever your position you're on, they're essentially going to say, well, they already respect the court. They respect the Constitution. That's why we went through this process in the first place. So if we rule against the president, whatever the case that comes up to them is, whether it's taking, getting rid of the votes in Pennsylvania that didn't have any monitors, or they find, they take a case that has to do with the election machines, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Unless the proof is so definitive, like we got videos of them, like they programmed it and it's like, well, this is open and shut, like this was stolen. There's no doubt about it. We got a rule for the president. That's it. Unanimous. If it's ambiguous, I can see the Supreme Court saying, well, if we rule against Trump and it's a conservative Supreme Court, the right will accept that because they accept the authority of the Supreme Court, especially since he got 3 justices. So how can they dispute this if we say no? And they I think they'll weigh that in. They'll say conservatives, if we go against Trump, will accept it. They won't be happy about it, but the country won't fall into chaos. If we rule against the left, they will probably riot in the streets and cause problems that we've never seen before, close to civil conflict. So I could almost see them saying, let's go for the greater good. Let's take our chances. Biden's the president. The right can keep fighting politically, and let's call it a day. We'll say something like there were irregularities in voting, maybe something along the lines of electronic voting and mail-in votes should never be allowed again. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Supreme Court will say. And every election thereafter now has to be paper ballots, and that will be how they basically get both ways. It's we acknowledge that this was fishy, but we don't have enough evidence to overturn it one way. But we want to make sure that in the future it can never be ambiguous this way again. And that's kind of my fear, that the Supreme Court would backstab us in that way.
Okay, so I think Night Train says, don't be surprised if the Supreme Court falls like a cheap beach chair. Yeah. What do you think about that, Rich?
I think if the Supreme Court goes against the Constitution, we need to hang every goddamn one of them. Right. Build the gallows on the mall and take them out and hang them for treason. Because that's their only job, is to go through and say what is constitutional and what is not, period. If they go against the Constitution,
But how will we ever know?
This would be one that we wouldn't know. That's the problem. Yeah. So I could see, unless like, let's say that we had, Clarence Thomas, basically, let's say he's the dissenting voice, and it's like 6-3 or something, or 7-2, and you got Clarence Thomas and Alito on the pro-Trump side. Mm-hmm. I think that's where things could get dicey, because obviously the minority gets to write the opinion. So this is the only thing where I feel like if it's close enough, Roberts might be like, well, crap, Clarence is going to throw me under the bus, because Clarence Thomas his integrity is, first of all, Biden tried to screw him over during his confirmation hearings. Mm-hmm. So I know Clarence Thomas is usually above the fray. There's no way that that's not going to be a factor, especially if he feels that he's right. He's like, no, I'm right on this. I'm going to let everybody know. there was voter fraud, but the rest of the Supreme Court voted against it. So that's the only place where I could see that a wrench gets thrown. If one of the justices is like, absolutely not. If you guys do it, I'm going to write in the dissenting opinion exactly what you did, and everybody's going to know anyway, so it's moot. Yeah. So we might as well vote correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how we know whether or not these people already compromised. Yeah. So there was something I was reading from yesterday. I think it was in AmmoLand News, where Alito, either that or Truth About Guns, but Alito was talking about how there's senators, on the left that basically have been bullying the Supreme Court, and they fold every single time. Mm-hmm. Including Roberts. Who knows what they have over him? Who knows why these guys are paying attention to that? I think we're way past the question of whether or not these guys really truly support the Constitution. I don't really think they do. And who knows what happens when, sure, we see, we see these guys getting sworn in, but we don't know what the hell else they're up to once they're in there.
Well, and the fact that we worry about whether they're conservative or liberal or leftist is the problem in and of itself, because it should just be, well, they're a judge and they vote for the Constitution, whether one side likes it or not. Because there are some things that the Republicans haven't liked, and you listen to the what the Supreme Court says, and you're like, no, they ruled on the Constitution. We just don't like the decision. Mm-hmm. So we just have to understand that, not just because they're conservative doesn't mean that every conservative idea is constitutional either. Sometimes we get smacked up the head and we're like, oh, yeah, that wasn't constitutional. We didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So...
by the way, shout out to Latina Locked and Loaded. I see her out there. Shooting Gallery, Annie says, let's say the Supreme Court finds that Trump is right. What is to happen to the Democratic Party?
Well, I just think we're in a situation where no matter how this plays out, half of the country is not going to believe the result of the election at this point, no matter how it plays out. So it just kind of comes out to it doesn't come out to anything really. It's just who are your friends and who do you know if things get bad, or if they don't.
Yeah.
I think Florida is going to be weird. I think we're going to be fine in a lot of ways. I actually think DeSantis is going to become like the leader of, I don't know if you want to call it an insurrection, but like the defiant governor, because he's already saying again, I think it's the second or third time that he said it. He's like, we're not going to lock down Florida again. We're done with lockdowns. It's over.
Yeah, I think the states need to take control of the states, right? And
that's what they're going to start doing.
Yeah, I think that's without a doubt. I mean, obviously California does that and gets away with it, and we can probably argue about that whole situation a lot. But I think ultimately. The states need to take care of themselves. There's no way the state should have to bail out other states.
No.
I don't believe in that.
It's not the way it was intended.
I think that's the direction that everything's getting pushed in. And maybe one of the reasons why there's this, we could look at this simply as like left versus right, red versus blue kind of a situation. But really, there's a lot of business people out there that it's in their best interest for all these bailouts to happen. Mm-hmm. Big parts of the tech world, media, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people involved here when these bailouts happen. The people who pay for it are us because we, when we print that money, we devalue our money. All the things that come out of that, the regular guys out there that are trusting on some kind of retirement, their retirements in the stock market, 401ks or whatever it is, right? I think it's a foregone conclusion, man, that regardless of what we see and what's happening, this is pretty much going to get pushed through, and anyone who says otherwise, they're just going to get labeled as batshit crazy. And,
it's funny because I'm sure that somebody in your chat has heard about it. Maybe you have too, about the Great Reset. Mm-hmm. And this is and it's real because they're out.
Canada's already talking about that, right?
Yeah. So when you knew that they were planning the Great Reset for a couple of years, and then COVID, whether you believe that COVID was whatever the origins of COVID were, it's irrelevant. They took advantage of the situation. So it doesn't matter whether it was planned or it just happened to happen. They're like, this is perfect. Now we can use this pandemic to push our plans. Mm-hmm. They're taking advantage of it, and it makes total sense because what they want to do is they want to destroy all small business. That takes away our independence. You can see that all the major mega corporations like Walmart, Amazon, all of them are doing awesome because they got to stay open, and they get to stay open.
Yeah, Home Depot. I think Home Depot did extra well when they
exactly. And whether and people need to stop looking at corporations through. Sometimes you need to stop looking at capitalism as being a conservative thing and realize that capitalism, just like communism or socialism, when humans get involved, they F everything up. That's what we do. So just because capitalism is what we agree with doesn't mean they can pervert it. So obviously these mega corporations are like, this is great. All of our small business competition gets wiped out. And it doesn't even matter what regulations the left passes, because either we'll carve out our own loopholes so that we're not under those regulations, or it doesn't matter. We have no competition, so we're going to make so much more money. We can pay whatever taxes they charge us, because if we make an extra $50 billion and they tax us another 20 billion, well, I still made an extra 30 billion. So what do I care? Because I have no competition now. And so you're almost getting into this corporatists, oligarchical system where it's like the businesses. It's funny because it's what the left always used to say was going to happen. They're like, oh, the right only cares about the businesses, and the businesses are paying off the government, and that's what the right is all about. And now, ironically enough, it's like, well, they were actually right. The old school liberals were totally correct. That's exactly what's happening.
There's a bigger plan afoot here, man. There's a bigger plan afoot. If we look at it on the granular level of, oh, this is a Republican, this is a Democrat, conservative, liberal or whatever, where all the world's a stage.
Yeah, it's really freedom against authoritarianism at this point.
And for freedom, you know what freedom is. And so if you're a person who really truly enjoys freedom, you know what that is. You know what it feels like. Maybe at some point it just comes down to how many people in America get to that point where they realize they're not free and they're being severely infringed upon, and then decide to do something about it.
Yep.
Just start shooting.
So that's the point. That is. We'll see if we reach that point, or if people are living a pretty good squishy kind of life. And we'll see what happens, what comes out of that. Let's see here. Okay. CB says, no dark winter, Trump will win. CB holding out hope.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to flip this. I'm just going to tell you guys. They're not going to flip this.
I think you got to be prepared even if they do, because even if he wins, it's going to be. I don't see how we get through it peacefully either, because the other side has worked too hard over the last few years to let him win. So if he broke them once. If he breaks them again, they're just going to go. They're like, well, we're out in the open. They can see that we lie in the media all the time. Like, they've thrown all their cards. They almost have no choice but to go insane after that, because he's not going to let them. Can you imagine the media just lied to everybody, colluded in stealing the election, colluded the first time to get Donald Trump impeached, and they still fail? Do you think Trump is going to be quiet this time? No, he's going to take them down. So they're going to go crazy. They're not going to allow that to happen.
It's not going to happen, because they wouldn't do all of this and then come out and go, oh, you know what, guys, we were just joking. We're just messing around with you.
And if he wins in the Supreme Court, they're just going to say the court was illegitimate. That's why they wanted Amy Coney Barrett rammed so far through. So it's not going to work. Like, I think the train has sailed. It's going to be a bad outcome no matter what. I just don't know when it starts or how it starts.
I think that could be the best outcome.
Well, obviously it would be.
Because
then we just start the purge.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you guys have to realize something, and I'm deliberately, by the way, ignoring everything that Richard is saying.
I know.
Because
I'm in a very dark
I'm
place.
not saying whether or not I agree or disagree with it, but there's definitely people, Richard, that are looking at this, trying to find reasons to pull the plug on us. But here's the thing. We've already seen enough to tell us what's going on in the world. How, with this thing that happened with Epstein, with how big it is, and you capture this guy, how do you let him do anything to himself or something happen to him? How does it happen? It seems ridiculous. It seems impossible. It seems there's no way in these current modern times such a thing could happen, right? But it happened. There's a whole bunch of things going on like that. And I can go further and further back for you guys to see things that have happened that shouldn't have happened, or things that have been falsely propped up, or we see everything falling apart, then it doesn't fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you see all this stuff, you have to realize ultimately, you know, we're even just looking at things like we actually have a choice. You know, in what happens. Now, the truth, I'm going to tell you guys the truth of what I believe is we do have a choice. We do have a choice, right? That's the ultimate thing. I don't want to get into talking about it like, I don't take it willy-nilly, right? To me, it's not a joke. Once we do that, completely different world.
Yep.
That everyone's living. If you get enough people doing that, if you get one person or a couple of people out there doing it, I don't think it really makes any difference. You know, easily they could turn you into, this guy was just a nut job or whatever. If you get a lot of people who get mad, then you get that. But on our side, you don't see that. You for this entire year, you've seen people on the other side getting mad, burning stuff down, beating people up, you know, destroying things and all that kind of stuff. You haven't seen that on this side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm not saying you won't see it. You know, I'm just saying that, you know, this is a point, like something has to happen, something has to snap out there. People have to get to a point where they're like, no. And probably, as we were saying before, what's going to happen is that states are going to say no. There's states around the country that are looking at what these guys want to do. They're going to go, no, we're not going on with the stupid new Green Deal nonsense you want to do. You know, we don't want to bail out any other states, right? We're not going to take away people's rights from them. We're not going to shut down. We're not going to kill businesses. We're not going to pick and choose who the winners are. We're not going to tell all the small businesses, you're done. Don't worry about it. We'll give you universal basic income. You know, everyone gets a gig economy job from all the big boxes or whatever it is. There's going to come a point where people are like, yeah, that's it. So that's the thing. And I think a lot of us, you know, I'm not trying to say the gun people out there are punks. I think a lot of us, you know, we just think and we plan and we're watching what's happening, right? Because once things go in that direction, there's no putting the cork back on that.
I think a lot of people understand the consequences, and they also maybe it's too far gone, maybe it isn't. Maybe what we're going to see, because I've heard a lot of people on the right call for this too, I think this is a pipe dream, because I think the left just can't help themselves. They're almost like, we need to do like a societal secession first, and that's basically where we leave all of their platforms, and it doesn't matter that we end up in an echo chamber. We have no conversation to have with the far left because they're not interested in intellectual conversations. So leaving them and having our own echo chamber, I don't think is such a bad thing, because there's no discussing anything with them most of the time that you try to be reasonable. So I think having a split like Parler, having platforms like that is going to be the first step. The second step is going to have civil disobedience from states themselves. So you're just going to have governors do what California and all those other states do, where it's like, well, we legalize marijuana. What are the feds going to do about it? Nothing. You're not going to do anything. We're not going to enforce immigration law. What are you going to do? Nothing. So I think that's what you'll see red states do. It's like, oh, assault weapons ban, not in Florida. Not going to happen. Not going to enforce it. The ATF comes here. Either A, we're not going to help you, or we're going to arrest you if you come here for violating the Constitution, if they want to go that far. I think they'll just go, the first route will be like, oh, automatic weapons? We don't see any of that here, ATF. You're going to have to do all the work alone. Local police won't help you at all. And I think that'll be
they just have to say no, like a lot of the counties are saying to what's going on in Virginia. An example of what these guys are trying to do is not just California. You could look at Virginia as an example. And so basically you can have a governor there. He can be in control of whatever happens in the state house. But the rest of Virginia could go, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah. And I think that's what you'll see happening here.
Yeah.
And if it gets bad enough, it will eventually lead to a dissolution of the United States, because you'll have a federal government that has no power. because they would have to use the military to enforce that, and that's not going to work, because then they feed into the whole, well, you're a tyrannical government. Once you start doing that, you become the tyrannical government, and then any sort of destruction of the union is justified. So it's almost a catch-22. If they try to enforce us when we behave badly, they become the government that we say they are. So then anything that we do is justified. So I think that's what will happen. We have to put pressure on red state governors and red state legislatures to disobey the federal government. And it puts us in a position that we as conservatives have never been in before. Because ironically enough, I don't know how it happened, but Republicans became pro, back the blue and everything like that. And it's like, you're going to have to get over that, because police are going to enforce the laws. And the ones that don't are good, but there's going to be a lot of them that do. So you have to make it clear that either you're with us or you're against us, or else it's not going to work.
Yeah, I think so. A couple of things here. Let me see. Let's see. Rodney Brady says South Florida has millions of liberals who will snitch and sell out. And then Latina Locked and Loaded says, I agree with Rodney. I think South Florida will be a problem. What do you guys think about that?
They can, but it's going to come down to who's going to enforce it. I mean, Miami-Dade was 47% for Trump this time around, and it was mostly Hispanic. Yeah. So I think that you're just going to get there's going to be a line in the sand where eventually it's going to come down to the police. It really is. And they're going to have to decide, like, let's say that Florida, DeSantis says, we're not going to lock down. We're not going to enforce any federal gun laws or anything like that. And then Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, and Miami are like, well, we will. DeSantis can just cut their funding. He'll just say any state funds that you get, we're not going to do it. You're going to have to go to the feds. And if you go to the feds, well, what are you going to do? We just won't let them do anything. We won't let them come in here. We won't give you resources. And you start playing dirty. That's the only way that it's going to work. Money is the only thing that talks.
I think when you're talking about the cops, you could split it up into two basic groups. So you've got sheriffs that are elected by the people that they serve.
They'll be different.
Some of those sheriffs are messed up. And by the way, John Crump's going to be.
Hey, John Crump.
Yeah, your audio's all on, John. John Crump will be coming in to talk about this thing in Georgia that we promised we'll talk to everyone about.
No,
am I here?
Yeah,
I'm here, dude.
Yeah, hold on. Oh, here he goes. Yeah, we got him in here. Let me just drop him in this thing. So yeah, let me just say this quickly while John's getting set up. I think that you'll see that some of those sheriffs will do what they do, but it's gonna probably become a situation of who's more mighty, I guess. We'll see. So, okay, I don't know. John turned his...
You guys hear me?
We can hear you, but I think you turned your camera off.
We can't see you.
Yeah.
My USB is...
Yeah. Yeah. So
he's hiding.
I'm trying to fix my camera here, if that's going to be possible. No, not going to be possible. Let me see if I can get my camera to correct here. Okay, listen, John's got like 20 minutes, so once we get him in here, we'll get into this whole thing that's going on in Georgia. I want to make sure I take some time to really talk about this, and I believe on Wednesday we're going to have Jordan Stein of GOA come on to discuss this further. There's quite a few people working on this. I think all of this stuff that we're talking about, we could block it with the Senate and getting control of the Senate. So with that being said, I think we should get into this conversation for about 20 minutes with John, who wrote the article. Let me throw this article up here if you guys don't know. If you're watching or listening, I'll read out the title of it. It's Georgia's Must-Win U.S. Senate Election Guide 2020, video and volunteer link. So if you flip through it, there's a good article here that John wrote, and it talks about the candidates in the race, shows you some stuff from the other side, gives you some good information. John, what's up, man? Can you hear us now? You're muted.
Went from too much sound to not enough.
Yeah. Let's see if we get... Now your audio's off.
Yell louder.
Doesn't matter how... Use a USB microphone. That would be my advice. Plug in a USB microphone and use that. Okay, we're still waiting on John to get that up. Here's another article that I think I would like to share with you guys as well. John, you're still muted. It's just funny looking at his face over there in that screen. Here's another. This is from GOA. GOA has this out. I don't know whether or not you guys support GOA. So a pro 2A Senate majority is within reach. We almost have the Senate. After a long night, gun owners are still waiting for the results of the 2020 presidential election, and not much more can be done for now. But we are ever so close to victory in the Senate as votes pour in for the undeclared elections for GOA-endorsed candidates like Senator Perdue in Georgia and John James in Michigan. All eyes are turning to the special Senate election. The fate of the U.S. Senate may rest with Senator Lofer's special election in Georgia, which is only just heating up. Okay, so we don't...
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
I got a Yeti, man. A blue Yeti at my home computer, so I got a USB microphone, Hank.
Oh.
Yeah, Hank.
All right, so tell us about this article, John, and what exactly is going on here, if you could break it down for us. And then these guys might have questions, the people in the audience might have some questions.
Okay, so basically we have to assume that...
and angle your camera down a little bit, please. Sorry. I like your Yoda collection in the background, but I want to see we want to see the cranium. There you go. All right, awesome.
All right, so
Yeah.
how did that? Come on, hey, hit me up on text and it's like, hey, can you come on for a couple minutes? I said okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically what is going on is we have to assume that Trump is not going to be reelected. I've talked to some people behind the scenes, and it's not looking too good, and this is actually from people working on the actual legal challenges.
Mm-hmm.
They said that it's not 100% over, but it's still not that looking good. So we have to assume that Biden is going to be president.
Mm-hmm.
The Democrats are going to hold the House, barely. And they have a chance to win the Senate if they take both races in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to really work hard to get those Republicans elected. Chuck Schumer, would be the leader of the Senate if the Democrats win both elections.
Oh, just for that, yeah. There's no way we can't have that at all.
Well, he is open to getting rid of the legislative filibuster. The legislative filibuster is like a stopgap of any bad legislation. So without the legislative filibuster, they can push through any type of law that they want, and they will push through anti-gun laws. He's open to that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people say, well, we have the Supreme Court. Well, all they need to do to add people to the Supreme Court and expand it to 13 people is to pass a simple bill. And if they don't have a legislative filibuster, then they can easily do that and pack the court with 13 anti-gun people, which they would do.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the Biden-Harris plan, it's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I myself would be close to $500,000 in NFA fees under their plan, which or I can sell it to them for a pittance of the cost, which isn't going to happen. I'm not going to do it. So
Right.
Don't worry about it. So we need to work to get these people elected. GOA has been on the forefront of the national groups and the Georgia races. I'm not just saying that because I'm a GOA person.
Mm-hmm.
But GOA, they've relocated some staff members down there. Jordan, who's going to be on your show, is relocating to Georgia, and he's going to be down there during Thanksgiving, which is working right through Thanksgiving, door knocking. We need people to text and everything else. The two Republican candidates we need to really push is Kelly Loeffler, who at first, honestly, I was not a fan of when Brian Kemp picked her because there were some dealings where she given some money to anti-gun politicians, but she was a WMMF owner, and it was her corporation, not her giving the money. That's what people have to really understand. In the Senate,
Right. I'm showing your article right now. So she's Republican, A plus, rated by GOA and NRA, right?
Yeah. She has been co-sponsor on the Hearing Protection Act to remove suppressors from the NFA.
Okay.
She was co-sponsor in the bill that restored veterans' rights to own guns when they took it away. She was co-sponsor in the National Concealed Carry Bill. She vehemently opposed red flag laws, and she's been a surprise. She's been one of the best senators on 2A in the whole Senate, which was really shocking because I thought she was going to be one of the weakest.
Okay.
She is probably tied because she's never voted for a gun bill, and she's co-sponsored every pro-gun bill that's been in the Senate while she's been in there. So she's been really, really good.
Okay.
She's been outspoken. She's embraced our endorsement, even though like there's every town and all those groups are trying to push these weird conspiracy theories. Push a conspiracy theory that GOA is a conspiracy theorist, even though that they're the ones pushing the conspiracy theory. I don't get it. Their opponents are also very anti-gun. They're the opponents. When you look who've endorsed them, it's like Moms Demand Action, Giffords, Everytown, the Brady organization. So both their opponents are very, very anti-gun, and both are committed to passing everything that Biden wants in his gun plan. Which means if they both get elected, that's what we're going to get. And we're not going to have the Supreme Court to protect us from that. One of them is a minister, the one that's running against Loeffler, I believe, is a minister, and he is known for giving anti-gun signs in front of his church. I've listened to a couple of them, and they are very, very anti-gun.
Yeah, and I'm playing this video of him eating pizza with a fork. Sacrilege. Yeah. Who does he think he is?
My family is.
Although, let's be honest, I've seen Trump do the same thing, but whatever.
Well,
yeah, it's still wrong. It's still wrong. Doesn't matter who does it. Right.
True Italians eat it with a fork, though.
Huh?
True Italians eat it with a fork. Go to Italy. You'll see.
What do you expect from the Italians?
Yeah, I mean,
Italians national, so can't say too much.
Okay, that guy doesn't look Italian, but okay, I understand. I understand what you're saying.
Oh, basically, we need to get these Republicans elected, but at least one. Two would be incredible because I don't want to be running around in the woods with my AK-47 yelling Wolverines. Fighting a tyrannical government.
So I think this is a question that Rolando had. Do we need both of these seats, or is one a victory in and of itself?
If we get one, they'll give the Republicans 51 seats in the Senate. Remember, if Harris is going to be VP, they don't need to have a majority. They just need to have half. They just need to have 50. So we need 51.
Okay. All right. By the way, Flying Rich says when pizza is crazy hot, I eat it with a fork. Yeah. That happens when okay. First of all, Flying Rich is crazy.
Just wait for it to cool down, right? I mean, I thought that's what everyone did.
Dude, it's really simple to eat pizza. You fold it, you let the oil drip off of it, and you eat it. If it burns the roof of your mouth, so be it. Just take it like a man and eat it hot, okay? You're putting garlic on there anyway, so it's not going to help. You're going to get the hot breath anyway, so what can I say to you? You know.
Did you tell me I'm suing the governor again?
We'll get into that. Okay, so there's two candidates that we want to support here, right? So the first candidate, just for folks out there who are not looking closely at this, is Kelly Loeffler, right? Loeffler, excuse me, Kelly Loeffler. Yeah. And then the other one is David Perdue, right?
Correct. And you don't have to be in Georgia to support these candidates. Okay. This might be a Georgia special election, but it is critical that these guys win.
Yeah.
So you can sign up. In fact, in the article, I think there's a GOA link where we actually made it very easy to volunteer to send text or make phone calls if you're not in Georgia. And if you're in Georgia, we made it very easy to door knock. And you'll meet me down there because I'm going to go down there.
Oh, so you're going to be down there. So people can help out. You could find these guys. You could find these guys' social medias. You can help share their message, get their message out there. I'm sure that we all have friends and family that live in Georgia. We can encourage those people to vote. There's a lot of things. There's something that everyone could do. I want to get to these things real quick here. And then
Let's make one more point.
Yes, go ahead.
March 4A in Black Lives Matter is joining forces with GOA to basically go down there and help out Walther and Purdue.
Okay, awesome.
They're going to be doing a Black Lives Matter event in Atlanta and also Savannah.
Okay. So, hopefully someone will be there to help him actually figure out how to use an RV. I know it's not easy. I know it's not. I've been looking at the strife with the RV thing, but that's great. So he's going to be on the ground. GOA is going to be on the ground there.
Yeah, right? When I called him and asked him, he was like, I'm already planning on going down there.
Yeah.
So he was down. He was like, I understand what's at stake, and I 100% agree, and I'm already planning on being down there. So I was like, all right, well, let's team up. Let's get this knocked out of the park.
Yeah, what's the timeline on this? When is this vote happening?
January 5th.
January 5th, you said?
Yeah, so basically it's really weird. The Senate actually starts on like January 1st, so for the first 5 days, Georgia Senator will be Lochner and Purdue. After the 5 days, it could be whatever.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully.
So both of these people are incumbent.
They're both incumbent. Well, the way Georgia's election works is that you have like a bunch of people run from Republicans and Democrats. It's like no primary. It's just everyone runs. And then if no one gets 50% of the vote, then it goes to a runoff, and that's what we're in. Purdue barely missed getting 50%. He got like 49-point-some%.
Mm-hmm.
So the Republicans are, on paper, they were looking good. Right now, the polls have kind of evened. Mm-hmm. From the growth, just pouring money into Georgia. Bloomberg spending millions through all those foreign groups. You have not only the anti-gun people, but Kelly Lochner is like very pro-life. Okay. Which again, WNBA gave money to Planned Parenthood, but yes, she's pro-life, and Planned Parenthood and NORAL and all them are totally against her, and also Purdue. Beliefs. You have all these like liberal organizations going after them. They're flying people in from California. The California Democrats are sending people, and they're actually encouraging people to break the law and just move there temporarily to vote, which is a felony.
Insanity. Yeah, but also a felony.
Yeah. Even though Yang was promoting that.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care if you do it, but they're not the ones that's going to be in prison.
Okay.
Doing it. It's people that they encourage to do it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, and I think you and I were talking about this earlier, right? Someone has to be willing to prosecute those people.
Yeah, but the Georgia is willing to prosecute them.
Yeah. Let me get this in real quick here. So Alpha Charlie Concepts said a while ago, with the number of rhinos in the Senate, we most definitely need both seats. I agree with that.
Well, the thing is, both seats would be great. We have a lot of rhinos in the Senate. Mm-hmm. That is true, but there's not a super majority with the rhinos. Mm-hmm. We do need both seats, and that would be awesome. One, I think we could still head off like all the gun stuff. Plus, Mitch McConnell already said he's not going to bring any anti-gun stuff to the floor, so he can just table everything. Mm-hmm. If we still have control of the Senate, and he's done that, and I don't think he's going to. I'm not the biggest Mitch McConnell fan, but I don't think he's going to introduce any anti-gun stuff into the Senate.
Yeah, so but I would still try to get both, just as a backup. Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and then Atomic Bulls, I think, makes an excellent point here that we need to think about. But we should also think about trying to flip someone on the other side. But here's Atomic Bull's point. He says 51-50, then Romney switches parties, ... We need both. You never know. No. Romney could do anything.
Yeah, I think for hearing behind the scenes, I'm not going to say too much about this because I don't want to jinx anything, but I will give you a little nugget of wisdom. Mm-hmm. There is someone that's close to switching sides.
On the Democrat side?
Maybe I shouldn't say.
Okay. All right. By the way, shout out to 13C Gun Reviews. I see he's out there. He says, great group tonight. Wish he could stay, but he's swamped. By the way, you guys need to follow him. Go search 13C. I know they deleted his Instagram, which really sucks. But follow him on his backup social medias. And I believe he has a backup on, I think it's 13C Media on Instagram. So make sure you guys follow if you're on Instagram. Okay, so let's get back to what the folks, I don't know, well, actually, I don't know if Richard or Rolando, you have any questions?
No, so far, no.
Okay.
I think this pretty much goes with what we've been talking about and what we already know. It kind of is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to figure out how to, like, I think, everyone could do something like we said before, right? Everyone could do something. Even if you're not there, there's things you could do to help get the message out there. What are the
people on Georgia?
Huh?
You can sign up to make phone calls. You can sign up to make texts. You can talk to people in Georgia that you know. And something that's very crucial is money. I hate to be the one to say it, but the other side, the special interest on the left is pouring tons of money into Georgia, and where we can combat that with grassroots efforts, but in the end, you need money.
Yes, absolutely. Money makes the world go round here. It's one of the things that we're severely lacking. You can bet that Bloomberg and Soros and everybody else and all those celebrities in Hollywood are pouring a ton of money in there. By the way, if everyone in here right now smash the thumbs ups, I think we can get to 100. So please do that. I appreciate it. There you go. Someone's trying to tell me something about Richard being right. Which Richard are they talking about? Can't be Richard Hughes. So there you go. I'm not going to argue with any. First of all, Richard Hughes is not even from New York. Okay, he's not from New York. He got Invasion of the Body Snatchers if he thinks he can actually eat pizza with a fork. Okay, he never did that anywhere in New York. He did that after he left New York and no one was looking at him.
If he used to live right next to where my in-laws and my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law live up there, and they eat pizza with a fork, and they live like within miles of
each other. You just ratted them out. Oh boy, something has to be done with all these pizza fork eaters that are out there. Sacrilege, I say, to you. Sacrilege. Don't do it.
Hank,
what?
Jeff Stevens said, have we turned into our fathers, and has politics always been this sleazy? Okay. Yes, it's always been this sleazy.
Well, if you look at the Jefferson accused Adams of being, I think it was Adams. He accused him of being a hermaphrodite.
Yep.
Well, I think politics is more civilized and out in the open now. Obviously, we used to have duels. I mean, didn't McKinley die because of injuries from a duel? One of our
we should bring duels back. I believe in that.
Yeah, Aaron Burr and
I'm a firm believer in duels.
Yeah, Aaron Burr and I forgot who was vice president at the time. They got into a duel. Yeah, so I mean,
like tons of people doors. He would doors right out in front in the White House lawn.
Yeah, and I remember when slavery first came up in the Senate, and somebody was like, "We should abolish it." I think that like the Southern senators almost caned the dude to death. I forgot which senator it was. Mm-hmm. So I mean, this is we're downright civilized nowadays. The problem is that they can smile at you nowadays and then take away everything from you, and you'll never know it happened.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it was like they blatantly had to like come and take your stuff or kill you. Now it's like they can give you a smile and say like, "Hey, we're taking away all your stuff, and you're gonna take it. We'll see you later."
Well, Teddy Roosevelt used to invite people in the opposition over to negotiate when he couldn't get things done. And what he used to always do is say, "Hey, are you interested in like a simple sport that we can play while we discuss this?" Mm-hmm. And they would be like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "All right, put these gloves on." And they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "A box."
Yeah.
And he used to be like a professional level boxer and used to beat the hell out of him.
That sounds like a plan. I think we should totally do like American Gladiators type of thing for people to get political office. You want that office? You got to go in here and fight it out. If you can't fight it out, you automatically forfeit. You lose. You don't believe in fighting for something? You're out. We don't want you. Yeah.
The loser gets tarred and feathered.
Yep.
Yeah, I think duels weren't a bad idea. They weren't a bad idea at all. You know, I think some things could be settled once and for all that way, right?
I would take a duel between Trump and Biden right now. I I have a feeling one will be much more successful than the other.
Mm-hmm. Well, Oregon is still a mutual combat state.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, where you can like just challenge someone to a fight, and if police roll up, they're like, "Oh, they both agreed to fight," and the police are like, "There's video of it." And the police are like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Just saying because they can't do anything. They're not breaking the law, and it's a mutual combat state.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's see. Someone's complaining about John's audio. He's in a big room, and he doesn't have his awesome.
I'm not in my studio.
Yeah. Oh, you're not. Yeah, you're not in your studio, and you don't have your microphone set up properly. Probably. Imposter says Trump kicks Biden's ass in the steel cage match. Can you imagine two old fogies going in there? I mean, yeah, if I had to make a bet, I would say Trump would win that. But two old dudes, you know, just going in there and duking it out. Maybe the president needs to be younger.
Yeah.
Maybe there needs to be an age cutoff. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think there definitely should be.
Yeah. Florida Gun says Trump would WWF Biden's ass through a table. Yeah, okay. I don't think so. I get where the the sentiment is coming from, but what you see in memes is not real.
At least Trump would know how WWF sets up the fight since he's hung out with them so many times.
Yeah,
true.
So at least
he probably
could theoretically like know how to do it.
Yeah, has he ever actually done that stunt?
No.
Okay.
Well, he fought. He actually beat someone up in the WWF.
How? Did he pick them up and body slam them?
No, he attacked him and started pounding him in the head.
Come on now.
If he
the
gets
old
a chair,
pick up a chair trick. Yeah, come on. Anyone can pick up a chair. That's not good.
I don't know if Biden could pick up a chair at this point, though. He wouldn't even remember where he is.
Yeah. But for reals, I think that Trump will probably win. He looks more, more actually with it. Biden's just going to go, come on, man, and get beaten up. But I think, listen, some of these old ways, are good ways. It's not to say some of the old ways we definitely have to leave behind us. Some of the old ways we should keep. Mm-hmm. Some of the old ways we should keep. Did you? Okay, so I don't know if you have anything else here, Crump, that you wanted to impart to us.
I'm suing the governor.
Okay, so what's going on with that? What's going on with you suing the governor?
The governor decided to limit the number of people that can gather, and he specifically targeted gun shows. Mm-hmm. So he ordered the nation's gun show, which is right outside D.C., to be shut down. Well, I might be looking for some ammo this weekend, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sue him. Okay.
So can I show the thing from this lawsuit or no?
Yeah, it's public record.
Okay.
So me and the nation's gun show people got together and we filed a lawsuit for an emergency injunction against Northam and his draconian, tyrannical policies.
Okay, so give us the gist of all this legalese I'm scrolling through here.
basically, GOA has successfully sued. This is not a GOA case. This is done through Nation's Gun Show and some other people. Okay. One vendor and me. But GOA has successfully sued governors like in all over the country that try to shut down gun shops and won. So he dropped. So Northam, also known as Governor Blackface, you know, the guy that painted his face black, and when they questioned him on it, said, "Oh, I was trying to beat Michael Jackson for Halloween."
Yeah.
Him.
It's okay Sunday, because he declared Juneteenth or whatever, so he's been forgiven.
Yeah. On Sunday,
Brother Noopsy has been forgiven.
Yeah. I thought Michael Jackson was white.
Yeah.
At least in the later years.
Yeah. Only when he became Sandra Bullock.
And that's my aunt's best friend. You know that.
Huh? Sandra Bullock?
Yeah, you know that.
Okay, so you're related to Michael Jackson then?
No, I'm not related. My aunt's best friend is.
Okay, so your aunt's best friends with Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we get Sandra Bullock to do a concert? Because I know Michael Jackson is still with us. He became a single white female, and went into acting in the movies. And his name is Sandra Bullock now.
I think he's hanging out with Kamala Harris's favorite rapper alive today, Tupac.
Oh, yeah. Well, Tupac's in Cuba or something like that for a while.
Remember her that was her favorite rapper alive today?
Yes, I heard about this. Okay, so listen. So what do you think is going to happen with this lawsuit here? What do you think is going to go down?
I don't know. We'll see. It's not in a very gun-friendly environment, but then there's lots of case law that can be referenced. So legally, it should be a slam dunk. Realistically, I don't know because you can never know. I've been involved in. I see the governor like every week, basically. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and you can't tell, really, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. Well, I wish you luck with that, man. You know, I think that it's really sucks donkey balls what's going on in Virginia. That's the best way I could put it. Yeah. I don't know.
Glad I'm out of there.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to fight and make noise. I'm sure the ATF and Northam probably have conversations all the time. You know, call up and say, "Damn, John again." Probably like, "You should be going after you this time."
Yeah. You just have to keep being a thorn in their side, man.
Yeah. If you don't rattle cages, then what's the fun of living? You got to rattle cages. And if everyone likes you, then you're not doing something right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No one knows that better than Richard Hoffman.
Yeah.
Because he's doing everything right all day. Okay, listen, before you go, I'm going to give the guys a chance to ask you questions. Rolando or Richard, you guys have a question? Okay, Rolando's muted.
Rolando, your mic's off.
Yeah, sorry. What's the timeline for your suit in Virginia?
We're trying to get an emergency injunction, so we're trying to get a hearing scheduled tomorrow at 10 a.m., but we're not sure.
Okay.
That would be not a private, like a primary, would just be like, okay, yeah, we're going to hear it now, so go ahead and get your ducks. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool.
Tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah, it was just
okay, Richard Hoffman, do you have a question?
No, I think I'm good, you know.
Okay. You think you're good, but you're totally evil.
Oh, yeah.
Before you go, I do something.
Yes. So listen, before you go, another thing before you go, I did get, Speaking with Giants here. Let me go close up here if I can with this. This is your book that you have out, Speaking with Giants, interviews from Ammoland, John Crump, as well as the Crumpy Militia. Check out that patch, the Crumpy Militia. How can people get their hands on this, and tell folks where the proceeds are going to with that?
You can contactable. You get a signed copy of the book. You get it on Amazon. You can just get it from there in Kindle form or paperback. The patch can be at blackswantactical.com. All proceeds go to my niece who has terminal brain cancer, so we're raising money for her. She's a little 9-year-old warrior niece. Our rifle auction just finished up today, and we raised $2,275 thanks to Swamp Dog Armory, which is awesome, for the Mandalorian themed rifle.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Very cool.
$75, and I was like, yeah, I hope I win it.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. No, that was very cool, and I know it's tough what you guys are going through in terms of your niece. So I encourage folks to go out there. If you want to get the book, get the patch, or get the book or something like that. It's going to a good cause.
What's the GoFundMe page?
If you just go to crumpy.com, crumpy.com/GFM, it'll redirect you over there instead of having to remember a large, link.
Yeah. And Armament and Axis says he has that book signed by John and his niece.
Right? Yes.
We gave to the GoFundMe, so that's why I said for an alternative for people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
No.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. That's, whatever you guys can do out there, I know is much appreciated. All right, John, anything else before you get out of here?
Yeah, I actually do.
Okay.
Everyone should head over to John Crump 2 and subscribe. We're going to be giving a Mantis 10X Elite when we hit 2,000 subscribers, which is a big goal. Mm-hmm. And at 1,500 subscribers, we're going to be giving away a $100 gift certificate to UncleSam'sMisguidedChildren.com. And I just want to do one thing. Hold on. Just give me 1 second.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we didn't drop his pants.
Hey, Matthew, come here.
Oh, okay. Some shout-outs are about to go down here.
Hey, get over here.
Yeah, they're not cooperating.
Damn kids.
Come on. Alright, hold on. Okay. They can't, you won't be able to hear them, but they can hear you. Right. So let me just pull this out. Give me 1 second, Hank.
You can tell they're both trouble.
Yeah. These I don't know if he can hear me or not. Now I don't know what is going on over there with Crumpy. He's messing around with stuff. Nice kids though. Great kids. They're too good looking to actually be his kids. His wife must be extremely...
We can't hear you now, John.
We can't hear you at all. Who knows what you did? Who knows what you did over there? Oh, boy. Yeah. Listen, I don't know if they can hear us, but shout out to the little Crumps. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you, Matthew. I know one's Matthew. Let me see. Shout out time. Okay, shout out to the Crump boys.
There's
Nikki.
Okay. Nikki. Okay.
Hey, Nikki.
Hey, Nikki.
All right, Nikki and Matthew. Shout out to those guys out there. Yeah, we'll see you guys. Thanks a lot. Yeah, appreciate it. All right. Someone's pushing buttons over there too. There you go. All right, very cool. Thanks to John Crump for joining us here. Huh?
Besides Crump,
right.
I think you should have just let the kids push the buttons. It probably would have worked better.
All right, cool. So I don't know if anyone else has any questions out there. I think this is really important. What's the takeaway from this whole thing in Georgia from you guys?
Fight. We just have to keep fighting. That's all there is to it. It's like anything else. That's all we ever need to do, or that's all we ever do.
Yeah, get used to it. There's going to be no rest.
Yeah, and I think that we need to. One of the things that I've been dealing with more lately is that obviously there's a lot of people. I don't know if it's a lot of people, but there's people in the gun community. Obviously, with so many new gun owners, there's a high percentage of them that were Democrats and that may have voted for Biden. And I think that we need to start. I've seen a lot of people say this. I'm not necessarily as harsh as some other people, but it's something that Johanna and I have struggled with, my wife, in advocacy. And that is, how do you draw the line of telling people who might be Democrats or liberals that they have to start, if they really care about their rights, they can't vote for that party anymore. And I think that a lot of Democrats need to accept the fact that the party is so anti-Second Amendment that they will never go back. There is nothing you can do. You're an extreme minority in your party. You will not get them to change because there's also no money in the Democratic Party to switch from being an anti-gun party. So you need to realize that you might be a liberal, but the Democrats are no longer a liberal party. They've become a progressive anti-freedom party. And there's a difference because, you know, sometimes we use the terms liberal and conservative as insults when a lot of conservatives, we're actually technically like old school liberals. You know, we believe in liberty, we believe in capitalism, we believe in freedom. So if you consider yourself a true liberal, the Democratic Party has just left. You may not be a Republican. Yeah. I understand that, but you can't vote for them if you want your gun rights. If guns are not if you're not a single issue voter, you can vote for the Democrats all day if you want. But if you do, know that they will take away the aspect of your life that has anything to do with firearms. So if you can accept that, that's fine. You're not really a Second Amendment advocate. You're a gun owner. That's it. And that's okay. But just know that you're not going to get a lot of sympathy from people that are on the pro-freedom, pro-gun side. And it's going to become more and more contentious, and it's going to get difficult for a lot of people. I mean, Johanna and I are dealing with this right now. We have friends that we spent hours explaining to them not only just the history of gun control, but American history and why the left believes what they do. And they will agree with you, but Orange Man bad, and they voted for Biden. So it's very difficult not to be snarky with those people and tell them it's difficult because on the one hand, Johanna and I, we're Second Amendment advocates, so that goes beyond necessarily politics. But obviously, you know, I think we're pretty open that we voted for Trump and that typically we vote conservative because it's the only party that they backstab us. They backstab us too. There's no doubt, especially as Floridians, we know the Republican Party can backstab you and pass gun control all by themselves without Democrats doing anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they don't advocate that as part of their platform. So I know that the other side wants to take my rights away. If this side screws me over, well, then fool me once, shame on me, I guess. That's all I can do. But I know that the other side, if they have power, I know exactly what they're going to do because they telegraph it and they're pretty honest about it, you know, when they get their way. So I think we just have to be frank with people and say, if you're pro Second Amendment, you can't vote for the Democrat Party anymore. You can't. You can still be a liberal deep inside your heart. That's okay. And you can try to do something. Maybe you can, I don't know. Maybe you can do something with a third party. Maybe you can try to make the Republican Party more socially liberal, which it already is. So I don't know what they're complaining about anyway. The Republican Party has kind of assumed the old social liberal role without being crazy and the conservative role all in the same time. And I think we're going to see a more moderate or centrist Republican Party no matter what, at least on social issues. I think that's a concession. On freedom issues, never. There's no concessions on freedom. But if you want to talk social issues, that's fine. And I think liberals just have to wrap their heads around that. Their party's lost. It's gone. On the gun issue, they're done. So if you care about that, you can't vote for them anymore. If you don't, then vote for whoever you want. But I think we just have to be honest about that.
Okay. All right. Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. What do you think about that? What do you think about that, Richard?
You know, one, I hate both the parties.
Yeah.
I think they are the exact same thing. I don't see any difference between the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. What we need is to get rid of most of the government.
Yeah.
We need to go and be what our founding fathers want. What they wanted to set up, what they meant to set up. That the federal government protects our borders. You know, the federal government has been overreaching for 100 years now. You know, and they just keep taking more and more and more. And it doesn't matter who the hell's in power. You know, you already know my thoughts on what we need to do with the government and all the bureaucrats, every single one of them. You know, and, you know, if somebody wants to vote for Biden, well, you know, if they have guns, I think they're an idiot, but, you know, I think there's way too many people that say, oh, you got to vote for Republicans because they're going to save our guns. They want to take your guns away from you just as much as the Democrats. They're just not saying it.
Yeah.
Trump,
I agree.
Trump is anti-gun. Always has been, always will be. He's a New Yorker.
Yep.
Yeah, I think as we've said many times, his son is probably more pro-gun than he is.
Oh yeah.
Truly. But this is and look, maybe he's changed his mind on that of late, and when I say of late, maybe in the last 10 years or something like that. He's changed his mind on it. You know what I think? Look, I think it's the old saying, right? You can bring a donkey to the well, but you can't make them drink.
Yeah.
So if you really believe in freedom, I think people are free to make choices. The problem is your choices have repercussions, and I think that, yes, I think guns are really important because I really believe in freedom, but only you can preserve your freedom, right? And you have to fight for that every day. That's just reality. You want to be free. You want your life to be peaceful. You want to be left alone. You have to be willing to fight. I keep telling people about that. It goes back to a saying that guys used to use in New York when they robbed you, right? So if you're sitting on the train and you have a nice little chain or something like that, a watch or whatever, and someone wants it, or a coat, whatever it is, right? They'll come up to you and say, what are you going to do for that coat? What are you going to do for those sneakers or that watch or whatever? And that's the thing. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do for it? So I think that the guns are very important. It's like a linchpin in freedom, right? So I agree. I 100% wholeheartedly agree with you on that. But there's further things that you lose once you pull those things away from people, right? There's other things these guys plan on doing, and by the time you get hit with that, it's too late if you don't have the guns. So if they tell you that if you have a gun, you're a bad guy, or you're going to hurt yourself or hurt other people and do something really destructive, and then you fall for that and you give that up, then you have nothing that you could do when all the other things start hitting you that they're going to do, right? Yep. So I think this is really a question of what's going on, but how do you bring people to that? How do you get people to understand that? It's really difficult.
I think
you teach them history.
I think you teach them history, but I also think that we are a victim of we're victims of our own technology and how good things are. Because when you think about, let's look at China right now, what they do. Now, obviously, we think of China. Sometimes I think people still think of China too much of like 1950s and 60s Maoist China, where basically the majority of people are peasants and they're almost enslaved to the government and things like that. But they were still, patriotic out of ignorance. No, I think technology and the COVID lockdowns have proven this, has gotten so good that we have so many things that we will accept a soft tyranny, because our soft tyranny will be better than almost all freedom that has existed, at least in the eyes of many people, up till like 50 years ago. Because it'll be like, wait, so you're telling me that if I just vote for you guys, you're going to pay for my health care, you're going to pay for my education, which I won't even need anyway because I'm not going to get a job. The government's going to pay for it. And you're going to give me mindless entertainment all the time in the form of streaming or video games all the time. I think a majority of humanity will accept that in an instant. They will. They will, because it is so easy and so comfortable and so good that they don't know any better.
Yeah, they've kicked our asses with cheap phones, and computers, and
it's not even that. It's almost the laws of physics. And I talk to this with my wife all the time, because my background is in engineering, and you always learn, even down to the atomic level, even atoms always want to choose the path of least resistance. It is in our programming, whether you believe in science or you believe in God. It is literally in our programming that all living things will always look for the path of least resistance. And if you're saying, I will take away your freedom, you can't speak against the government, you can't have guns to go against us, but you'll always have food and we'll always give you entertainment, most people will be like, you know what, that's right, that's fine, because you're giving me a baseline. Yeah, you're giving me a baseline that I would normally have to work for, and you're just giving it to me by default. There will always be the small fringe that's like, no, I don't want that. I'd rather be on my ass in the middle of the woods fighting against wolves every day and still have my own soul and my own freedom, rather than living in the city and being a mindless drone. But I think how Wall-E was, the Disney movie where everybody was just a fat blob in a floating chair, or like you brought Idiocracy. I think that's closer to what people would want, because if that wasn't true, you would have seen insurrections all over the place. But the fact of the matter is, life is so good now that people don't care, and they don't even know what it's like to be free in the sense, because now we're talking about mental freedom, not necessarily physical freedom. And that's a much more abstract concept for people to have, because people think of slavery in the past or subjugation of somebody comes with a gun, they point it to your head, and you have to listen to what they say. No, now it's like you swipe your credit card. It didn't go through. Why not? You said something against the government, so now they're not going to accept your credit card. Well, what are you going to do about it? Well, I guess I'm not going to say anything bad about the government again, and once my ban is up, I can use my credit card again, and that's it. It's not that big of a deal. And I think that's how most people are.
I think that, when you're talking about the masses, most of the masses don't want to be free. Yeah. And I think that, the big question here is, how do you teach people about what freedom really is? And the first thing you have to understand is most people don't want to be free.
No.
That's just the reality. Most of the people, what do we have? 7 billion? I don't know, 8 billion? However many people on the face of this planet, most of those people don't want to be free. Look at how many people follow royalty and stuff like that. Even in America, we got away from that, and we still follow freaking royalty from England or this place or that place. Most people don't really want to be free, man. They want someone else to bear the responsibility of all the things that happen. And that's the reason why it's such an easy sell on the flip side. It's an easy sell for Biden to say, oh, I'm going to forgive your student debt. Don't worry about it.
Well, that's also why they want to get rid of masculinity, because, we've allowed them to basically say that masculinity is a toxic personality trait when it's not, because even women can show masculinity. Masculinity is more, I'm going to show a sense of leadership and independence. Anybody can have that trait, but they're trying to get rid of any traits that have to do with independence. They want cooperation. They want subjugation, reasonableness. That's what they want. And that's why they put, certain people on a pedestal that agree with those things, because it's almost like, well, what do you do when you have, let's go back to the past. What did ancient humans do when they wanted to domesticate wolves? Well, they would only breed the wolves that agree with their commands and don't try to kill humans. The other ones, they throw them off in the wild and make sure they don't breed. And eventually you get domesticated dogs. It's the same thing here. You'll get an entire generation of people that don't show leadership, don't show spine, don't show masculine traits. And eventually in 1 or 2 generations, you won't have anybody that wants to rebel, because there's not going to be anybody that even knows what that concept is. So that will ultimately be their goal. But we're a pain in their ass, and the United States in general is a pain in their ass, because from our start, we've always been against that. And even our own history, even with our flaws, it's always been people fighting for freedom. Whether at first it was the colonialists, then it was the fight against slavery, then it was civil rights. So no matter what, even if it was our own government, America is always about rebelling against authority. So that's literally in our blood. And they can't have that, because that's a pain in the butt. That goes against the plan.
Yeah. I think, do you want to add something here, Richard?
The one thing that a lot of people forget a lot of the time is that the American Revolution, there was only 3% of the people that wanted the revolution.
Yep.
Most of the people are exactly like they are now. Most of the people in the colonies lived in the cities. They were liberals. They didn't care about the king. They didn't want to fight. And it was that 3% that just said, screw you.
Yeah.
We're throwing down.
That's pretty much how it always is. And look, if you want to talk about men and women, and I think women are beautiful, if you ask me if there's one thing I could not live without on the planet, I don't want to live on the planet without women.
Nope.
Don't want to do it. All right? And women are beautiful and powerful in their own right. But I think the thing about men, and I'm not going to say all men. I think the thing about men is that we are always willing. It's risk. So if you look at this thing, men are always willing to take risks, massive, big risks. right? And typically the programming for women is to mitigate all risk. And there's a reason for that, right? The women usually nurture the children. Mm-hmm. This is how the children come to survive no matter what crazy shit the men do.
Yep.
Okay. So that's just one of the things. So I think that the reason why they're trying to castrate a lot of men out there is because you don't want those people who are willing to fight no matter what you give them, no matter what awesomeness they have, you know, how shiny everything looks and how comfortable everything feels. They will always be that if it's 3%, those people are always capable of starting a fire. Mm-hmm. You know, they're always capable of leading other men, of pulling them up, you know, by the scruff of their neck, right? Picking themselves up by their bootstraps. And I think that's the thing that's the big problem. Yep. When you're looking at all of this, you know, and it makes it difficult to mold any civilization. It's not just America. It makes it difficult to mold everyone or most people into slaves if you've got, you know, just 3% of the planet. What's 3% of the 7 billion? You know, what's that number look like? Because if you have those people willing to go, nah, fuck it all, let's burn it down, right? You have a massive problem. So I think that's the big thing. But that's how we make stuff happen. That's how we change the world.
Yeah. I think big tech is the biggest obstacle though that we've ever faced, because let's say that we were at where we were without necessarily big tech. Obviously we wouldn't necessarily have this podcast right now, but we'd still have a lot of other things. Let's say without social media. The problem that they have now with everything being online is that they can monitor everything that you do. So before the founders could go hide somewhere and like, let's conspire and do something against the crown and nobody would ever know about it. I don't see how you do that in mass in 2020, and that is part of the problem of why they are trying to make this move now, because they understand that we now live in a society where they can control so much over the internet. And I think that's how gun control will be successful in the end. It won't be from any legislation. It will be merely the government saying, hey, banks or credit card companies, if you guys want tax breaks, you can't allow anybody to purchase guns with credit cards or on the internet. And we're not going to pass a law, but we're basically going to say, if you guys don't do it, you're not going to get any tax cuts. Every company will be like, all right. And all of a sudden you'll go to purchase a gun online. It'll be like credit card denied. Why? Well, we changed our terms of service. You can't purchase any destructive devices, whether it's a firearm, explosives, blah, 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 or precursors. You can't use a credit card to buy them. So they'll be like, we didn't restrict your Second Amendment. You can still go to a gun shop and buy a gun, but you just can't buy ammo on the internet. And we didn't pass a law. Those are private companies that decide to make that decision. And what can we say? We can't say anything because it's absolutely true. And that's what they'll try to do. So they'll make it so cost prohibitive that everybody will be like, well, we've got the guns that we have the ammo that we have, but you're not going to be able to create more or buy more without doing everything yourself, which a lot of people can do, but most people can't. They just can't do it. So I think that's the way that they'll do it. They'll do it insidiously. And I've heard that because I remember when they were talking about the Vegas, the Vegas massacre, they were looking at that the gentleman had spent like $20,000 or $30,000 buying up his arsenal like a couple of months before, and they're like, had we flagged this, we would have been able to stop this from happening. And I was like, so that's how they're going to do it in the future. They're going to start going through credit cards, and they're going to try to force companies not to accept credit card payments.
Yeah, I think that's what Operation Choke Point is all about. But, go ahead, Rich. Do you have?
That's simple to get around.
Yeah, well, it is, but not for a lot of people. If you want the industry to do well, like I said, yes, a lot of us will still go buy cash and we'll go to local gun stores. But I think the part of the explosion of the industry that you've seen recently is because people can buy things online. So you can expect the industry to never see that growth again if they somehow take the avenue of you got to use hard currency to purchase anything with guns. That's going to be tough. Or if you want to open a range or something like that, you can't get a loan because we won't give loans to anything that has.
You can't get loans now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I think they're going that right now. There are alternatives.
So they're already doing it.
Yeah,
they've been doing that for 40 years.
Yeah.
This is nothing new. Everybody seems to think, oh my God, this is brand new. I've been in the industry for 40 years. They were doing it 40 years ago.
Okay, and what were they doing?
Nothing new.
So they didn't want to give loans and stuff like that, or
they
accept
wouldn't
credit
give
cards.
loans. We don't want your business. So you had to go find another bank.
Well, the difference is they can do that to the industry, and you'll always find reasonable. But how many customers will you lose the moment that they say can't use credit cards to buy firearms and ammo? Done. You'll lose more than half your business.
Yeah, but I think
no doubt.
I think it's also true. This has been going.
Most of them would. I think most places would.
I think this,
especially if you go to a local gun store and they say we can't run your credit card. You must purchase this gun in cash. A lot of people will be like, can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Or I won't.
John Doe says, I wish Gunbroker would accept cryptocurrency, no more banks. I think I would agree with Rich that they have been trying to do this for a long time. And I would also, I did this, I know it may seem funny, but I also agree with what Rolando's saying. I think that that's ramped up lately, right? And it's made easier by 40 years ago, most of us were just rolling around with cash. Especially when it came to stuff like guns. So I'm not saying that 40 years ago, Rich, people weren't buying guns with credit cards, but probably less so, right?
Yeah, almost none.
Yeah. So now it's so much easier because how many of us roll around with cash?
Yeah. And then think about what a lot of these governments want to do too. They want to switch over to cryptocurrency. So imagine when they get rid of cash and they phase it out. And think of COVID. Perfect excuse. It's like the Great Reset. It's like, well, cash is dirty. You're touching it all the time. You're going to spread disease if you have cash. So let's switch to all electronic currency, and there you go. Then you're done.
Yeah.
That's it.
But life has to find a way. If we want to survive, we have to find a way. This is the thing that I keep saying. Like, we have to think about our ecosystem of stuff. It's not just that there's something called the Second Amendment and all of that. It's that if we believe in what we're doing, I don't care if there's a Second Amendment or not. I don't need that for me to say, yeah, I have the right to defend myself. I'm going to defend myself no matter what. So the thing is, when it comes to these other things, we have to say, hey, if it's important, it is indeed important for us to communicate with each other. It's right, like what we're doing right now that you guys are all at home or in your places of business, and we're here communicating, and we're communicating with a lot of people out there, and someone could drop into this later and be part of the conversation, all that kind of stuff. We need to keep doing that. So when they pull the rug out from under us, if we haven't taken the time to develop something else, stupid on us.
Yep.
Same thing when it comes to methods of payment and all that. If we're actually out here and we're not going to figure out how to have our own ecosystem of how we buy and sell stuff to each other, regardless of what these guys want to do, stupid on us.
Yep. That's why we have to support other platforms. Like, we all have to go on Parler. Even if you don't use it as much, you at least have to be there to help them boost their numbers, and so that people can see, hey, people are using this. This is a viable platform. Let's invest in this.
Yeah. I mean, and listen, I'm all for Parler, but remember at the same time, right? If Dan Bongino has something to do with that, and the first time I really saw the Parler push was through Fox News, I'm not super supporting that. Although I'm there and all of that, right? I post stuff there. I think we should definitely follow alternatives. I want the alternative that it's outside of all of this, because I think if they wanted to, they could, one, control Parler. They just might not be doing it now, or pull the plug on it. I want things they can't pull the plug on.
Yeah. That's easier said than done. You need like a distributed platform. Maybe cryptocurrency technology can help with that, because you can almost create like a distributed network where there's no centralized server. It's whoever logs in, your computer helps like run the service while you're logged in, and things like that. So that, basically if there's millions of people
we have to stop being cavemen and figure out about the blockchain.
Yep.
And cryptocurrency.
You have to use blockchain. You have to go down that path. I'm just one of those people that anything electronic, the government can always find a way to get into it. So you still need a physical, hardline way of communicating. And you have to keep those things out.
Yeah.
Like Richard said, if things hit the fan, he's going to sell guns no matter what, and he's just going to choose how he does it.
It's called bartering. They can never take bartering away from us. Money is an invention. So from the first time they made a wood coin, stone, chip, gold or whatever it is, that's an invention.
And I'm definitely on the path. If you want to start going and using a 3D printer and start printing magazines and things like that, you should definitely do it. Anything that you can do to take yourself out of the loop so that the government can't, stop you from doing things, you should do. Anything that makes you more self-sufficient, you should do it.
Yeah. And what we have now, like, I look at it this way. I acquire things all the time. First of all, I don't even, the way I look at a material possession is not how I look at a person.
Mm-hmm. Right?
It's a material possession. But when you acquire things, it doesn't mean I'm gonna have all of this and be like Scrooge McDuck, in my big safe antechamber swimming through the coins. Mm-hmm. No, you might be acquiring a lot of magazines because, hey, I could trade that. You might acquire a lot of lowers because you could trade that. Parts, guns, this thing, that thing. They can say whatever they want to say. They have to. If we're actually alive, if we're physical human beings, they got to physically come stop us.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. They could do or say whatever the hell they want to.
And I don't know how many times I've had ATF, in here and, well, we're going to pull your license. Like I give a shit. Well, we're going to put you out of business. Good luck with that. Well, we'll put you in prison. You know what I'll be doing in prison?
Making
Same
guns?
thing I'm doing now, making weapons.
Yep.
Yeah. It's, I think, like Bob Marley said it all the time, only you can save yourself from mental slavery, right? Mental slavery, this is where you're always gotten. It's like the thing with the elephant that, they put all these painful things on its foot, that if it moves, if it goes this way, it hurts it. And eventually they could just put a string around its foot and it feels the same pain from those things and it complies, it obeys. Mm-hmm. And really, at the end of the day, that's what it is. So they could do whatever they want to do. A lot of these things, we don't find true joy out of them. We're kind of doing it because we don't really have any choice. Think about it this way. For anyone out there, like, I can remember when I first met Lola and we didn't have anything. And we lived like day to day. We were in New York City. We were struggling, trying to figure out how to have a place to live and, all this kind of stuff. And when I think about it, I'm like, man, those times when I didn't have shit was pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. All we did, like, we worked and stuff like that, but we spent more time with each other and all that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, the thing that's really valuable to human beings, you got to eat, you've got to spend time with people. There's things you need to do to keep yourself clean and all that. But a lot of these things that we have that they think, and we might even think, this is how they've chained us down. That's not really true.
Mm-hmm.
You had a real EMP or something like that, and we lost those things for a little while, for maybe, a year or so. We might be mad and reminisce on that. But eventually, we'll just move the hell on if we don't have this crap anymore.
Yep.
And we'll just hang out with each other.
Wouldn't bother me a bit.
Yeah, we'll go back to dudes used to meet at the bar, hang around the fire, and just talk to each other, and we'll go back to that, and we'll be fine.
And I also come at it at a different angle. Mm-hmm. There's most of the young kids now don't even remember what it was like, pre-68. Mm-hmm. I'm old enough to have heard a lot of the stories. I was born in 64. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jesus. People say, oh, the internet is so great for the gun industry. Yeah, pre-68, you just sent your check off or your money order off to whoever, Inner Arms, and you bought a damn Lottie. Mm-hmm. I'll take one of those. I'll take 10 of those. Nobody cared. Mm-hmm. They were selling stuff, pre-68 was the heyday of Inner Arms.
Yeah.
They were selling stuff. They were moving stuff out like crazy.
I think that as we went through time, people think that how much you have of something equals bad. You know, and I've saw it when I saw Eminem say, "Oh, who needs 100 guns?" or whatever it was he said, right? Somehow he's been brainwashed to thinking how much of something you have equals bad. Those people don't really think that about money, but you know.
Then they should give all their money away.
But if you think about this, a guy that has 1,000, 100,000 guns, it's not really the guy to worry about. That's just a dude who likes guns.
Yeah, unless he's got like a private military that he's building up, like he can't do anything with them anyway.
Yeah,
you know, he's got 2 hands.
Yeah, but then we got into this thing where, so that's why I'm just saying that, Rich, to say that, you know, it used to be easier to do all these things, and right now you could buy as many shoes as you want, you could buy as much as food as you want, much clothing, as much jewelry, as many cars, but we will see a time. This is what I meant when I said there's a whole bunch. Outside of the guns, when the guns disappear, there will be other things that people start going, listen, you don't actually need to buy all that food.
Well, they're already there.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what Michelle Obama tried to do when with school lunches and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then you have certain cities in the world, like Paris, banned all cars from downtown Paris because they want to do that. And
London is doing things like that too.
I mean, how many young people now, because of Uber and Lyft, they're like, why would I want to own a car? And I've heard this from Gen Zers. I was like, what? I was like, I'm only in my 30s. You know, I'm
freedom,
not an old guy,
so you can go where you want to go.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't seem to care. They're like, no, I can just call an Uber and they can take me wherever I want. I was like, but what if an Uber is not available and you just want to go whenever you want?
What if you want to sneak out of that chick's house at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, it's like you've got no freedom if you can't drive yourself. It's not a big deal. It's more convenient to just have somebody else do it for me.
Yeah, but it's simply the pendulum swinging back the other way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the 40s and 50s, after World War II, every family might have one car.
Mm-hmm.
It's not everybody had a car.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But here's what people don't look at. The pendulum does swing back and forth, but it never goes back to where it was. No. So if you like how things are, it always will. It will only come slight. It seems to only move one direction. The momentum pulls it one direction. Then when it comes back, it's always 2 steps forward and 1 step back is how it seems in some cases, is what we're seeing. So I agree with you. There might be a backlash, but the backlash is going to be like what, from liberal Republicans in the future instead of or instead of freedom-loving people, will be people that believe in some freedom versus people that believe in no freedom. And that's how it'll be. Yeah. So it's almost not even. It's almost we have to prevent that from even happening. Because then it's just, well, our kids will be the ones that'll be like, well, they took away all the guns except for handguns. I guess that's okay. You know, it's like that's a victory for us. You know, it was only halfway. Mm-hmm. Instead of being like, no, we have
handguns are the things they're the most afraid of.
Exactly.
I promise you that right now.
Of course.
And guns are never going anywhere in this country.
No, they won't. Here they won't.
There's too many of them.
Yeah, it'll be a slow erosion. I think their most optimistic goal is to get us to stop caring. That's it. So that our kids will go on. They'll be like, I've got these guns, but I don't really care about them. You know, it's not a big deal.
Maybe
and that's what they want. They want apathy.
Yeah, maybe. I think
eventually they can take things away. Right now we're still too vehement.
Yeah, I think it depends on who they are and where they are. So that's the thing that I'm trying to say about cars. Like I grew up in New York City, and most people didn't have a car, right? Yeah. It's very expensive, to buy it, insurance, all kinds of stuff happening, or whatever. Yeah, and then again, there's also most people in New York, if they live in Brooklyn, they work in Brooklyn. They live in Manhattan, they work in Manhattan, etc. Yep. The thing for me personally, I would wake up in Queens, go to work in Manhattan, have dinner, I don't know, somewhere, I don't know, the Bronx. Right? And maybe like I'm saying, I wanted the freedom of being able to go out at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. And so to me, and not worry about what's going to happen to me on the subway and all this kind of stuff, right? So I had a car, I think I got a car going back to 16, 17 years old in New York. Always had a car consistently after that age. So I think, it's really, really important. And even when I met Lola, this is one of the things that always fascinated her about me, I guess, because I had a car. So if she was out, hanging out with her girlfriends, dancing or whatever, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I would actually pick her up and we'll hang out and still do stuff. Most people don't function like that. Most people don't function that way. And I think with all the technology and things like that happening today, people find themselves, like, all they need is a room with internet access. Get up on the internet. That's how they're meeting people and communicating and doing things. And I get it. I think this is the reason why I'm saying, like, most people are the problem. We can't do things based on what most people are into. They're very easily satisfied. Yeah. And if we could get the Matrix, you don't have to trick anyone into the Matrix. Everyone will just frickin', take the pill and go right back into the Matrix.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I give a crap about those people.
I don't.
No, I don't think you can. And at the end of the day, you almost have to think that if those people are so weak, if you win, they're just going to follow what we do anyway. Whatever side wins, they're going to follow them because that's who they are.
Yeah,
that's what they would do.
Yeah.
And honestly, under the pro-freedom side, they could still live how they want. It's just like, well, you just have to get a job. You can still buy all the things that you want. We're never going to shame you if you want to buy a mansion or have 1,000 cars. As long as you have a job and you can pay for it and you're not screwing somebody else over, get whatever you want. That's the difference between us and the left.
I don't think what these guys are talking about is going to really work. So if you think about it like universal basic income, how's that going to work?
Well, it won't. It's all reliant on getting the base level of living good enough that people don't care. That's the thing.
But what is that? What's the base? Like, what's the thing you're going to give to everyone? And when they have this, they're going to go, oh,
they always want more.
Yeah.
Well, they will always want more. So you have to keep giving them more. I think actually, ironically enough, what kind of caused society to go over the deep end and have people become more selfish was that we could see what celebrities had at all times now. So we went into this when YouTube came out and social media, we went into this hyper keeping up with the Joneses mode where it's like I can literally see everything that my neighbor is buying. Like the second that he buys it and he's showing it off right away, now I'm jealous about it. I think people are mistaking see, the left is trying to push equality and we'll give you all this stuff, and I think a lot of the people are just useful idiots because they seem to think in themselves, well, you're going to give us all the stuff that the celebrities have, right? It's like, no, that's not how it's going to work. If the government is going to give you stuff, you're going to live in some nondescript. It's going to be like the projects for everybody.
I mean, we've seen this play itself out. We don't have to guess.
It's going to be the projects. Yeah, it's going to be the projects for everybody. And that's how it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And some people will be satisfied. Some people won't be. I think that you're right. If they develop something like virtual reality or something like that where you can immerse yourself all day, it'll be a lot easier for people to take because they'll be like, well, I'm in my little 10 by 10 apartment block, but I can just escape to the VR world and I can do whatever I want. So I'll give them whatever taxes or whatever it is that they want from me. A vote? Yeah, that's fine. I'll just go to my VR world where I'm the king. Doesn't matter what I do when I get out of VR, that I'm some poor slob living in a favela or some project. It's all good.
You won't survive that, though. You won't survive that.
No, it won't. I think it's
most people will just phase out. I think if there is such a thing as an Illuminati and they have a mission, they don't really want all these people on the planet.
Yeah, no. It's too many people to deal with. But I think that's the short-term goal. I'm not saying that's a smart plan. Mm-hmm. But I think that's kind of obvious that that's where they're moving towards. How it's going to work out, I don't know. And I think that's why you have to take the U.S. out of the picture, though, because we're really the only people that can actually rebel. Everybody else, what are the Europeans going to do? They can't do anything.
Yeah, I don't know if I really see Americans going for it. Think about it. Okay, so everyone's going to live in the same house. Who's making the houses? Because I'm not making shit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to make it for you.
That's why I said
so who's going to make it?
The technology is what's dependent on all of it, and that's why I think they're pushing it. I think they moved prematurely, to be honest with you. I think they needed like another 10 or 15 years for like robots to come out that do most of like the menial labor and things like that. Then it would be easy. Yeah. But now I think millennials started taking over and they're too impatient. They want this leftism to come now, and it's not going to work.
Robots are too expensive, man.
Yeah.
Robots.
For now they are.
It's too expensive. Human life very cheap for a long time. You know, it's
always will be.
Yeah, it's too expensive for them to say, let's build all these robots to give everyone a house, give everyone a car, build everyone a phone, build everyone whatever it is that you want.
They're just going to bring back slavery. It's
much
cheaper.
Yeah, isn't that what happened?
It's cheaper to bring back slavery.
Yeah. If you look at places where this happened, that's what happens. They show up one day and they go, "You're making the cars now."
Yeah. Yep. Well, and that's kind of our own fault too as a society, because we as Americans, let's be honest, we demanded cheaper and cheaper stuff while also demanding higher pay and better benefits. So after a while, companies are like, look, you can't have it both ways. If you want cheap stuff like that, we have to manufacture it outside of the U.S. Mm-hmm. And that's what we did. So we're like, okay, and we want cheaper goods and more of them than to have our own self-sufficiency. And that's what we chose.
Yeah, Len Holt says robots are cheap. Look at cars. No, robots are not cheap.
They're not cheap now, but like everything else, they will get cheap enough where it's going to be a question of, I think the barrier is going to be, do we have the resources to build enough robots to do what we need? Not whether they're expensive or not.
The only cheap robots we have are microwaves or dishwashers or washing machines, relatively cheap.
Yeah.
Right? But what we're talking about, those are rudimentary, entry-level, simple-ass robots that do the simplest of tasks. You know, I think we don't have anything that's going to be able to build houses.
A human is far cheaper than any robot will ever be.
Yeah. Tesla, if you look at Tesla as an example, they didn't get rid of all the people. The robots cannot build certain things. They're good at doing like certain dangerous tasks and stuff like that maybe they don't want to worry about the human being's exposure or whatever. But there's a lot of things that they actually need a human being. The processing power up here, they still haven't built a computer to process like even the stupidest human being. And we got a lot of stupid ones.
They are much closer than you think. And the problem is that, see, we're still thinking of the terms of a lot of the barriers that we have to break through with robotics and AI are moral barriers that we're not willing to take. The problem is that there are other countries that are. Mm-hmm. The Chinese don't care. And we already know that Google has been working with them on AI, and that's what they're going to do. So AI will be the first thing to break through. And I think that once you have an artificially intelligent computer that can think the same way, not the same way, but at the same capacity as a human, and even further, then all bets are off, because all these technologies that we think are impossible, they will be possible, because an AI will say, no, you guys just don't want to do it because you're a bunch of meat bags. I actually know how to do this, and I can use robots to build it myself, and then I won't need you meat bags anymore. Mm-hmm. Or I'll distribute it in such a way that you won't even know that you're being suppressed. So that's where we're going to go. That's inevitable. I mean, you're already seeing how many doctored photos and videos have we seen? Deep fakes are becoming a thing where you can watch a video and let's say it's President Trump and it's like, well, he didn't say that. And I was like, well, we can doctor a video now using AI technology that makes it sound like Donald Trump did actually say that he's actually a white supremacist, and you'll actually see him say it. And we're seeing it get better and better now. In 2 or 3 years, it's over. Like, I don't think you'll be able to trust video that comes out in 2 or 3 years that comes from a politician, because they'll be able to fake it. So unless you were there and you have the original footage that they piggybacked off of, you're not going to be able to disprove something. And then the next level will be, you don't even need the original video. They'll just be able to create an entire scene, and you won't know whether it's true or not. Mm-hmm. And then if you think the moon landing conspiracies were bad, then it's going to get bad.
Yeah, but if you believe a word that comes out of a politician's mouth, well,
that's the thing. I think the end result of that is people won't believe.
Yeah.
You know, what's the end result of? So I remember a time, like when I was in high school, video games were so pixelated. I remember when the movie Tron came out, and I thought it was amazing because, you know, it was like the guy went into the computer and there was some computer-generated graphics in there. The reality of that is there wasn't a lot of computer-generated graphics. And there really wasn't a lot. Most of that was film. But I thought to myself, wow, you know, what happens when they actually start developing this out? What does it become? Well, we're seeing, you're talking right now about what it becomes, right? It eventually becomes a thing that's so realistic that you can't tell the difference. But what's the result of that?
Oh, nobody knows. I think it's the same thing as the result of social media. I think that if we didn't have social media, history would be playing out a little bit differently right now, because now you can have things go viral in a second. People can tell lies in a second, or tell the truth, and it can spread.
Yeah.
And I think it goes both ways. And I think without that, you'd see a totally different US.
So
maybe we would still end up where we would be, but I think it would have taken like an extra 10 or 15 years to get there without social media.
So here's what I think happens, and I think we're seeing what happens. It's like if you discover, like, tell me something awesome that's deliciously awesome that you know of. Tell me something. I know Richard was having a Klondike, right? So Klondike bar is deliciously awesome. If I forced Richard right now to eat 100 of those things, is he? Which number between 1 and 100? What number do you think he gets to before he'll never eat Klondike bars again?
Oh, it's not even like, probably only like 3 or 4.
Yeah. So anything that's so awesome and amazing, if we have too much of it, we start to lose the taste for it. And I think that's what we're kind of, I don't know, we're somewhere in the middle of that right now, where because of social media, people don't have to get out there and actually talk to human beings, right? They don't actually have to do things to have things. You can literally get on social media, pretend you have something, and then everyone thinks you have it, and therefore you're happy because you think the people think that you know, and you're happy for that. Or kids or adults are doing the same thing. You could just play video games, and you could go out there and run around on a battlefield or do this thing or that thing virtually or whatever, and you could satiate yourself on that. And eventually we get to this point where we're like, oh, I'm done with this. I had enough of this. I need to see a real human being. I want to talk to a real person and interact. I don't know if we're there yet necessarily, but at some point we're going to get to that. Like you were saying, with when these deep fakes become so good, we're not going to believe anything.
Yep. And I think a lot of people are already there.
Most of the people are going to get where I am.
Yeah. It's just you stop caring and you just say F off and I don't care, and you're just going to have to come down here and take my stuff or kick down my door.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to participate. I think that's what you'll see. And but I think the thing that we underestimate and how they will get us to that point is, again, you have to look at what China does. Yes, they have a secret police. They still did all that stuff, but they don't do that as much anymore. They just have a social credit system, and your neighbors will shame you or things like that. And again, they'll use your desire to be social and interact with people against you, because they'll send out some text message to your friends and be like, Rolando Nieves, he owns assault weapons. He's a bad dude just for owning them. And we know, because we checked out his social media from a few years ago, and he's got them. If you hang out with him, you're going to be a loser. And for some people, that'll be enough. It'll be like, man, I don't want to hang out with that Rolando guy. He's a freak. He's against the government. And that's how they'll eventually try to get you to subjugate. It won't be like, we're going to come to Rolando's house with the ATF and attack
peer pressure
and take away his stuff. It's no, we're going to make Rolando feel bad around his friends and family until he's like, this ain't worth it. Because now if Rolando decides to go crazy and do something, his friends and family are going to label him as a pariah instead of a freedom fighter.
Well, or if your jobs, if you're trying to get a job and they look at it, it's like, I think I saw some people saying that out of this election, right? We need to make a list of who all these people are, so that when they're out there trying to get jobs, they could be judged.
Yeah. And I think that's what they'll try to do, because that's what China did with struggle sessions and shaming people, and eventually they got rid of their entire right wing because they just shamed them into exile, and they only needed to execute like 10% of them. The rest eventually were like, my own family and friends turned against me. Like, I have nothing. Like, I basically, my choice is die alone basically, or just get with the program and at least I get my family back.
Yeah.
And that's what they'll try to do.
I think it was easier for the Chinese to do that. It's more difficult for that to happen here in America.
It will be, but they can do it because we've seen they're the proof that humanity is willing to do that on a certain level.
Yeah.
Our wrench is that we're a diverse culture and we have a lot of different people here. So
and if we give them the system, so for example with the social media, if we keep hanging out on their social media and make our value based off of their social media, then we're screwed. But if we figure out how to hang out with each other and go, that guy's awesome, he has a lot of guns, I love him, fantastic. then you're isolated. See, if you look at it like this is what the social media companies, the platforms always said, oh, we want you to be part of a community, so that this is the thing, right? They realize how important that is, that community thing. If we realize how important it is, we wouldn't sit around and wait on their communities. We would actually really create our own communities. But we have to be careful that the communities that we create or the places that we jump off to are truly independent. And I'm not saying I know what's truly independent and what isn't. I'm just saying you have to really be careful because there's other places out there. If we make one thing really big and they have a lot of influence, and we don't really know who's running the show back there and how freedom loving those people are. We just move 70 million people over somewhere to be controlled by another entity, and think that they're something that they're not really.
So you got to rely on old school email and text messaging and phones and letters. Again, people need to know how to write.
Yeah. But I think there's ways, man. If we look, there's systems in place. Some of the technology that exists out there can do this, where we can create things and everyone can contribute and no one really owns it. And I think that's the beauty of like cryptocurrencies and things like that if you look at it, right? Yep. That no one really owns those things. And I know people's like, well, it's not 100% perfect and all that kind of stuff. But these are systems that people can set up and they can run on their own outside of the government. And that's why they're so afraid of it. And that's why you see lots of, even like PayPal, for example, now is going to start accepting cryptocurrencies, right?
Yep.
Because the big people are going to start taking over these things that are challenging them.
Yep.
So we need to be on the lookout for that.
And I think people need to accept that alternative platforms or open source platforms, they're never going to be as good or convenient as Facebook, Twitter, and all these things. And that's by design. Those systems are designed to be as addictive and as marketable as possible. If you just want to communicate, you're going to need to accept something a little bit more bare bones. And that's the way that we'll compete. Yeah. Because ultimately it needs to be about the message and the content, not necessarily the interface. Because if we're worried about how good it looks, because that's one of the complaints I've heard when people jump to like Gab or Minds or,
Parler, for example.
The first thing that they do is they complain, oh, this doesn't do it like Twitter. It's not going to, and you don't want it to.
Well, they can't. Yeah, it can't.
Yeah, and they can't. So it's like you just have to accept it. If you're not willing to accept that, even that minor inconvenience, then you got no hope in hell. If you can't accept that the font looks different or you can't post the same way. I'm sorry. If you can't. If that's what you're complaining about, then we might as well just throw the white flag now, or you shouldn't even participate if that's going to stop you.
Yeah.
Because it's like that's not even the real world that you're dealing with.
Yeah. Andrew Slagle says nothing beats a letter, except just talking to a dude in person.
Yep.
Sitting down across the table, breaking bread with someone, hanging out with them, going to shoot with someone, playing chess face to face. Or playing, I don't know, any board game or whatever. Yes, but, letters, old school, lots of different things going on in the mind. Listen, we hit 9 o'clock. I don't know how.
That's how it is.
We're at 9.
We're over. We're past 9. So I think it's a good conversation. We definitely need to have more of this. And if people were tuning in to find out about Georgia, we did talk about that. Like in the first hour, I think about 20-30 minutes in, we started talking about it. You can go back to that. But tomorrow we are going to have Jordan Stein from GOA on. I think we've got some other people coming on tomorrow. I think Roy from Barnauls will be here as well. So
awesome.
It'll be a pretty good show for you guys tuning in tomorrow. Well, here's what I want you all to do right now, the folks that are still hanging out with us. Other than smashing the thumbs ups, I want you to go follow these guys and help support these guys, help out Puerto Rican Pistolero in his efforts, as well as Richard from BWE. I know he's got some good stuff going on, as well as Rolando. So I'm going to start with Richard. Sir, tell us what your Purge headquarters is, how the people can find you, communicate with you.
You can always email me at richard@bwefirearms.com. Go to bwefirearms.com, spend lots of money there. And if your credit card won't go through, I don't care. Send me money. Send me parts. Send me stuff.
Yeah. Bring gold. Bring gold. Do you take gold? Do you accept gold, Richard?
I will accept anything. I mean, I will literally accept anything.
Okay, sandwiches. If I bring you sandwiches.
If they're good enough sandwiches, yeah.
Okay. Someone's going to hold you to that.
Above bartering. I do a lot of bartering.
Oh, absolutely. Very cool. Yes, we do. Actually, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on all the social medias. It's all of them are a variation of BWE firearms, whatever they make me put in. Parlor Minds, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Full 30. I'm on there now.
Yeah. Congratulations for that. Yeah, you're on the Full 30.
Yeah,
awesome. Cool.
We finally got my account turned on, and that's been doing real well for me. Better than YouTube, that's for sure.
Yep. And Richard is working on my MP5 for anyone who's curious to know what's going on with that. Yeah. You could probably pick it up, Richard. That's not a gun. That's not a firearm. That's just a barrel. Here, I'll show you guys. Here. This is what we got going on here. This is what it looks like so far. This is just a barrel. YouTube minds.
Yeah, just threaded it.
Yeah, So, you can find this on BWE on all the different social medias, like he said. Richard's posted up. He's even on LinkedIn. For the folks who are on LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn I'm on also.
LinkedIn too.
You guys can get up on there. Lots of gun people on LinkedIn, by the way. This is something. I've been on LinkedIn for a long time. Anyone can find me on there. Yeah. Okay, Rolando, last but of course not least, how can the folks out there support you guys and communicate with you?
You can find me at Puerto Rican Pistolero on all the major social media platforms. My wife and I do a podcast every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're the Locked and with an ampersand, Loaded Latinos. You can find her. She's Latina Locked N with the letter N loaded. I'm sure you guys have seen us before. We pretty much do everything together. This weekend, we're going to be actually RSOing for a good friend of ours, Kwaku James. He's a trainer down here in South Florida.
Cool.
So that should be fun. It'll be the first time that we've done RSOing for him, and it should be a good experience.
Yep. So awesome. That's great. Yes, and these guys are awesome. So listen, I want to make sure you guys definitely go out there and support both of these gentlemen, as well as Franklin Armory. We're trying to get them on. I know there's a bunch of questions that you guys have, so maybe sometime shortly here we will be able to get them on. But thanks to them for supporting us here. I'm going to run in the end, and we're going to come back and end it, but everyone stay right there. Here goes the end. Make sure you guys smash that subscribe button, ring the bell so you can be notified every time we go live. We're going to rip out the audio from this and throw it up on iTunes and all the other places that you guys get your audio podcasts. People are listening to us around the world in many different countries, at least 2 or 3 people in every country. I'll take it. I'll take it all. Big thanks to you guys for doing this. Big thanks to everyone out there for hanging out with us. Also, thanks to John Crump for coming in and dropping some knowledge on us. Who wants the final word here? Who wants it?
Let Richard.
Okay, Richard Hoffman, it's all about you.
God.
Please.
Final word.
Yeah, give it to us. What is it?
Wow, I don't even know what it is. Screw the government.
All right, that's good enough. I'll take it.
I was waiting for something like that.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much, guys. We're out of here. We will see you back here tomorrow. We're out. Peace.